All right, so what you're going to be writing in your journal right now is this thing called, that's an ellipse. I'm not going to use an ellipse. So I just started out totally awful, but you know what? It's okay. Here we go. Elimination strategies. And what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to write these two equations. Now, in this particular assignment, it's going to ask you about what could you do? What could you do if you wanted to eliminate a variable? Does it say which variable you want to eliminate? No. You can eliminate whatever variable that you want. So let's check this out. If I had, ready? Do this with me. If I had 2x plus 3y equals -5, and I had 2x minus 3y equals 10, what would happen if I just added these together? What would happen? How many x's would I have? 4 x's. What happens to all my y's? All right, what happened? They get what's called eliminated, and 10 minus 5 is 5. And would you be able to eliminate the variable if you simply added them together? Yes, so I'm going to put check. We can add them. All right? Now check this out. Ready? 2x plus 3y equals -5. Now, do you guys remember the trick when I talked about subtracting? If you take the second equation and you subtract it, right? You subtract this second equation, what happens? It makes everything that's on the inside of that parentheses the what? The opposite. So this would become a -2x. This becomes a positive 3y, right? Because a negative times a negative is a positive. And that negative times a 10 becomes a -10. So what am I doing here? I'm subtracting. I'm going to write the word subtracting the second. That's a horrible N. Here we go. I'm subtracting the second equation. All right? So if we subtract the second equation from the first equation, what happens to all of my x's? They cross out. How many y's do I got? 6y. When I add those together, I get -15. And guess what? Did I eliminate a variable if I subtract the second from the first? Okay? All right, so far, I can subtract the bottom equation from the top equation. I can add the equations. Could I multiply the top equation by 2, then add them? I don't know. Let me try. Ready? Let's multiply the top equation by 2. What do I get? 4x plus 6y equals -10. And underneath I have 2x minus 3y equals +10. If we add these together, if I multiply the top equation, you guys see what I did there? I distributed it to each one of those. If I add this together, I get 6x plus 3y equals 0. Now, did these eliminate? Yeah, but are these a variable? Is that a variable? No. So am I going to choose answer choice C? No, that would be bad. That would be bad. Okay? All right. Bingo. Got it. All right. Hold on a second. All right, take a look at our next one. Here we go. Here's our next one. It says, which of these strategies would eliminate a variable in the system of equations? So all I want you guys to do is I would like you guys to write those down right there. Just write them down, okay? Take your time. Write them down. All right, so we're going to do a couple of things on this, all right? So I'm going to start by writing this one. I got x minus 2y equals 11, and then I have 5x plus 3y equals -11. So what we're going to do is we're going to check answer choice A to see if it works. It says multiply the top equation by a 5, then add the equations. So what am I going to do? I'm going to multiply the top equation by a 5. So that's the first thing I'm going to do. So multiply the top equation by a 5, which is 5x minus 10y equals 55. And then I'm going to take the bottom equation right here. I'm going to take the bottom equation, and what am I going to do? I'm going to add them together. Does anything eliminate if I take the top equation and I multiply it by 5 and then I add them? It does not, does it? Now, what would have happened that if I could have said if I multiply the top equation by 5 and then I did what? I subtracted them. If I subtracted the bottom equation, would that have canceled it out? Absolutely. Okay? Now, look what happens though. I'm going to add one little thing here, all right? So you guys hopefully you have that down. If you don't, it's all going to go away. What? Now, check this out. Let's check out answer choice B. It says, what if I multiply the top equation by a negative 5? If I put a negative 5, what's negative 5 times x? Negative 5x. Negative times a negative is a positive. Negative times 11, sorry, negative 5 times 11 is negative 55. Now look what happens, everybody. Not 10y, I apologize. Now, does this eliminate a variable if I add these together? All right? Because what did we do? We multiplied the top equation by a negative 5, then we added them. So I know that what? This one will work. So I actually have to follow the instructions to see if it works. Okay? Now, you see answer choice C, it says add the equations. So right now, I want you guys to take a look right here. We're just going to add the equations right here in orange. What's x plus 5x? 6x. What's negative 2y plus y? Just a y. And 11 plus a negative 11 equals 0. But do the variables get eliminated? No. So the only one that's going to work is the second one. Okay? And that's what you guys are doing on this. All right? I'm not going to do any more. All right? What do you have to do on these? You have to be able to simply do what? Read the directions and do what it asks you to do. Now, that all leads us into one thing, which everybody, this is going to be the easiest one right here. Of all the assignments, I think this is going to be the easiest. Okay? All right? Can you guys go ahead? In your journal, we're going to do 2 of these, and that's it. We're doing 2. I want you guys to write that down. I want you guys to write this one down. This is going to be a very, very easy assignment. Just trust me. Go ahead and write those down, and I'm going to pause the video. All right, so now we're going to be working with just the elimination method, okay? This is my favorite method. We have negative 3y minus 4x equals negative 11. And right underneath it, I'm going to write 3y minus 5x equals negative 61. Now, we've had some practice now doing this, okay? We've had practice adding equations together, and we've had practice subtracting equations. So check this out. What would I want to do to eliminate these y values? Just simply add things together. So right now, all of that, what? All of that zeros out. If I have negative 4x and I'm adding a negative 5x, that's going to give me a total of negative 9x. And negative 11 added to negative 61 gives me a negative 72. And then when we divide both sides by negative 9, x equals 8. Boom. X equals 8. Okay? Now, you're like, wait a second. How do we find y? So let me explain to you guys. Hold on. Just stop. Sorry, one of my students just shouting out answers. Not shouting, just calling out answers. So, guys, we have to choose. We have to choose. Which equation do you want? The top one or the bottom? It doesn't matter. Bottom? Let's do the top. Oh. You know what? I'm sorry. I'm going to have to choose bottom because that's a 3y, and I don't really want to deal with a negative. So here we go. Let's choose the bottom equation. Ready? 3y minus 5x equals negative 61. But now that we know what x is equal to, does everybody see what I'm going to do right here? I'm going to plug it in. Had a big old yawn from a student. They're so excited about this process. So we're going to plug in 8 right there. Here we go. Sorry, I'm pausing for awkward effect. Okay, so Negative 5 times 8 is minus 40. Okay? Now we're solving for y. So what do I have to do to both sides, everybody? Add 40. Perfect. So we're going to add 40 to this side. We're going to add 40 to this side. And we're left with 3y equals negative 21. You're like, well, how would you do this in your head? Think of it. You owe somebody $61. You pay them back $40. You still owe them $21. And then what are we going to divide everything by? 3. Close. Y equals negative 7. Because we had to divide, remember, a negative 21 divided by 3 is negative 7. So what does that mean? That means our y value is a negative 7, and we plug that in right there. Okay? So 8 and... So I'm not going to type in a positive 7. I'm going to type in a negative 7 because I want to get it correct. All right? Now, by the way, if you guys miss one and you want to see how it works, just click See Step-by-Step Solution and check it out. You guys see what they do? The exact same thing we did, okay? Exact same thing. They even color code it. That's pretty awesome. All right? Last one. Can you guys please write this one down right now? Like, write what down? Write that right there. Here we go. While you guys are writing, I'm going to go ahead and start writing. Here we go. 2y plus 7x equals negative 5. 5y minus 7x equals 12. All right. These are kind of easy because right now, if one of them's positive and one of them's negative, all I can do is what? Just add them together. Now listen, don't do this, but what if they were both positive? What would I have to do? I would have to take everything and do what? Take it away. So you'd have to subtract it. Does everybody understand that? If this one, what do we have to do? We'd have to subtract the second from the first. Right now we've got a couple of adding. So let's add them together. What do we get? How many y's? 7y. What happens here? They all cancel to 0. What's 12 minus 5? No, 12 minus 5 is just 7. All right? It's all right. All right, so 7 divided by 7 is 1. So right here I'm going to put y is 1. Now, we have to make a decision. And I'm going to choose the top equation. Okay? I'm going to choose the top equation. What am I going to plug in? I'm going to plug in a 1 right there. So check this out. So I'm going to take the top equation, which is what? 2y plus 7x equals negative 5. And what number am I going to plug in for my y? I'm going to plug in a uno, 1. Two times 1 is 2. What am I going to do to solve for x? What do I got to take away from both sides? Take away a 2. So what happens? That big old fat 0, right? What do I have left? How many x's? 7. What's that equal to? Negative 7. Divide both sides by 7. What's x equal to? Negative 1. So I'm going to put a negative 1. All right? So negative 1 and, what are we going to put? Negative 1 and positive 1. By the way, can we add those together as well? And eliminate the y's? You could. All right? So right now, the only thing you have to worry about is if they're the same sign, then you would have to subtract the bottom one from the top one or the top one from the bottom one if they're the same sign. These are opposite, so you can just add them together. And that's basically all you got to do.